No, it is disappointing, but at the same time, what's more important that having that feeling is, to reason out why exactly it happened. Because once you know the reasoning, you can rectify the problem or solve the problem in the coming game. So I felt today's first session was very crucial, and I don't think we handled it really well. And that was one of the main reasons, because if we would have got a decent partnership going and got a few more runs, we also, the wicket was misbehaving to some extent, and if the game would have gone on the fifth day, it would have been a bit up and down also. So then we could have exploited the condition more, but I think it was the morning session, that had a big impact on the game. No, we went to practice. The wicket was not good for practice, and there a few of the batsmen batted, and Shikhar got hit, and he left, and after that I was padded up, so I went into bat. So he was a bit uncomfortable, but he didn't react as to the injury is such that he won't get to bat. So he came back to the dressing room. Me and Duncan, we were there. And by the time I finished my batting, I found the wicket to be a bit uneven. So we also came in early. But by the time we came back, it was quite close to the start of the play. And there we saw, Shikhar was not really 100% fit to go into bat. And it was quite late. So we could only give maybe 5 to 10 minutes notice to Virat as to he would go in. So that was one area where we could have handled the situation a bit better. But it's something that we'll have to take into our stride, because we thought he was fine, maybe he got a blow, but he's good enough to bat. But he was not, as you saw, he went into bat late. So that kind of a scenario, there's a bit of unrest that happens, not like a typhoon coming unrest, but it's just that the calmness of the dressing room goes for a toss. So that was the situation, and it was a bit late to verbally resolve the problem. What was really needed was some kind of a partnership, 20-25 minutes of batting, and it would have gone back to normal. But that was the area where we lacked, and we couldn't really capitalize. No, his hit was not as bad. Yeah. Well, yes, first of all, you don't really know what was going in my mind, so don't speculate as to what was going in my mind. Just leave it for me. And I felt, at that point, with Mitchell coming in, he's someone who can bat. So it's important to use a few bouncers, because we have got a lot of wickets out of the bouncer. And not to forget, now we have bowlers, who can exploit the condition. All three of them, they bowl at decent pace. Ishant is someone who's slower than the other two bowlers, but he's someone who gets more or steep bounce compared to the other bowlers. And also, if you see, Mitchell played quite a few shots, and there were a lot of catches, that were like 15 feet short of the player or 15 feet over the player. And in cricket it counts, because with the amount of fielders you have, you can't really place all the fielders at the right position. So it didn't really go our way. He kept playing the big shots, and he kept clearing the fielders by a bit of margin. And we kept changing our plans. It was not a fixed plan as to we will only bowl short. We tried almost all the plans. If would have watched the whole game, he scored 80, so he spent quite a fair amount of time there. So we tried each and every plan. And at the end of the plan that really worked was, take the new ball and bowl, but we couldn't have taken the new ball at the end of the 60th over. Well, I think, as I said, today was quite different compared to some of the other games. Yes, we have had batting collapses in the past, in the recent Test series that we have played, but this was something that was very different. So it will be addressed in a different way. But still, generally, how you address a situation like this is, you try to tell them to bat as normally as possible. By that, what I mean is, not really to look at the scoreboard as to what really has happened, whether it's the second innings or the first innings. You play according to the merit of the delivery. If it's there to be hit, you hit, you look to score and be positive. So that's how it's always supposed to be. But today was slightly different, as I said. It can improve. I don't really want to create a controversy, but it can certainly improve. I feel, till they are not abusing each other, until they don't cross the boundary, it's fine, because a lot of kids and elderly people also watch the game. So often people ask about what really is spirit of the game, and what I feel is it's something that you don't want your kids to do on the field when they are playing. So if there's anything that's going fine within the boundaries or the guidelines of the game, I'm happy with it, because you also want a bit of aggression in the game. And also the players, they have played against each other. Most of them, they play for the same side in IPL and also some of the other T20 leagues. So I feel till they don't cross the boundary, it's all right, because it just brings a bit more entertainment for the spectators. But it's very important that since we know the guidelines, that we are within the lines, especially when how we are supposed to conduct ourselves. It's a very interesting question, but what's more important than that is there are a lot of 50-50 decisions that are not really going in our favor. We are on the receiving end more often than not. And what happens in DRS, even when the DRS is around, those decisions, they won't go in our favor, because if the umpire has given out, you take a DRS, still it's out, because DRS often is used to justify the decision that's given by the umpire. What's important is to use DRS as a way of giving the right decision, irrespective of whether the umpire has given it out or not out. There are a lot of ways to use DRS, but this is something that needs to be put in a specific way, as to, it doesn't really matter if the umpire has given out or not out. If the ball hits the stumps, you are out, or if the half the ball hits the stumps, you are out, because then you are adding too many variables to the game.
Are you happy with the level of umpiring of this series?
It can certainly improve, but also, it is very tough for those two individuals. Not to forget, it was very hot right from the start of this test match. They stand there for 5 days continuously. We come back, apart from lunch and tea, they don't really get any breaks. When we are batting, they are still on the field. When Australia is batting, they are still on the field. So it is tough on them. But I always try to tell them, try to be consistent throughout the test match. But there have been quite a few 50-50 calls, where we have been on the receiving end, and irrespective of whether DRS is there or not, we will be on the receiving end according to the decisions that are given by the umpire. I think the approach, we have put the team forward as to what's really important for the team. If you see our bowling also, unless there's too much juice on the wicket, like if the first hour or 1.5 hours of the game becomes really crucial, we will have to bat, because we are playing with 4 bowlers. One of them is spinner, so the spinner can only exploit more if there's sufficient amount of rough. So that's the reason, if you're playing with an additional batter, more often than not, you will have to bat first and take that added responsibility, so that once you have batted, for 90 or maybe more overs, there'll be some kind of a rough for the spinner to play with. And also we are playing with that extra batter, so they will have to take that responsibility. Well, I think it was still positive, because if you see, more often than not, with only 120 or 25 or 130 runs, at times you throw in the towel. But what was important that, till the last runs was scored, it's important that you fight it out with the opposition, and then whatever the result is, you accept the result, because if you're on the losing side, you must have committed a certain number of faults in the game. Or the second option is, the opposition has played really well. So, you just accept the result, but at the same time, you don't throw in the towel. So it was quite good to see the fast bowlers still running in, giving in their 100%, and we were able to get a few wickets, and that actually gives a lot of learnings to the youngsters as to another 50, 60, 70 runs or another couple of partnership, and you get those 80 or 90 extra runs. It can really matter, especially when it comes to Australia, and we all know the 5th day wicket, it can really misbehave. The spinners can get a bit of turn with a lot of bounce, or the fast bowlers can get a lot of seam movement off the cracks. So it is difficult to bat on the 5th day when it comes to Australia. Well, I think there are plenty of positives, because we have been able to take wickets, which I feel is important to win test matches, because you may be scoring big runs, you may be scoring 500 and 400 runs, but at the end of the day, what's really important is to take 20 wickets to win a test match, and to formulate ways to get 20 wickets. And what we have seen is the execution power of our fast bowlers has increased. Ishant is the lead of the pack. He is someone who can consistently now bowl in one areas. Varun is someone who's still raw. He does go for runs, but it's exciting to see somebody from India, bowling at a good pace and using the bouncer to get the opposition out and all of that stuff. So overall, if you see, there are plenty of areas, which we can say definitely there have been a lot of improvement, but still we are not crossing the line. That crossing the line is something, it's more like a wine that's brewing. We need to give it a bit more time, and once they start crossing that line, and once they harness that aggression in the right channel, you'll see plenty